Good evening, America, and hello, world, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Colonel Chris Wyatt in central Pennsylvania with an update on the 2024 Iowa caucus. Wow, what can I say? Donald Trump has not only defeated his opponents, but he has crushed his opponents literally in the largest margin of victory in the history of the Iowa caucuses. The previous margin for a multi-candidate race in the Iowa caucuses beyond just two candidates was 12.8%. Donald Trump will win this race by almost 30 points over his nearest competitor. This is a shocking development. Not only has Donald Trump ran away with this race, but Donald Trump has also snatched all the demographic groups. Everyone is telling the establishment to take the middle figure and read it. The scam against Donald Trump that's been perpetrated since 2016, the lies, the utter nonsense, the historic effort to destroy American democracy by the Democrats and the political left is falling on deaf ears, at least in Iowa. 40 delegates at stake tonight. 40 delegates at stake tonight in the Iowa race over 99 counties. In the early voting, it appeared that Nikki Haley was going to be doing well in Polk County, which is where the capital of Des Moines is located at. And also that she would do well in Story County, in the northwestern part of the state. It looked like Ron DeSantis was going to get a victory in a county. And then also over in Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is located at, it looked like Nikki Haley was going to do well there. But as the numbers came in, it went from a huge win for Donald Trump to a freaking tsunami, an absolute tsunami, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. At this hour, Donald Trump, with nearly 90% of the vote counted, let's see, we're at what is that number? I think it's 85%. It is nearly a clean sweep. Only one county in the state of Iowa not reporting in, and Donald Trump is ahead in every single category, in every single county. This is an unbelievable victory for Donald Trump, one that could not have been imagined by people who've tried to destroy this man over and over again. Now, what I've just said is not necessarily an endorsement of Donald Trump, but a statement of the facts, folks. And I know the facts are difficult for leftists to believe, but this is the reality. And here is the map at this hour. With 85% of the expected votes to come in from this caucus, about 18,000 votes remaining, Donald Trump has absolutely ran away with this race. 51% of the vote. He will get 19 of the 40 delegates at stake here. Wow. And here's the map across the state. Donald Trump winning every single county at this hour, with still results to come in, but every single county. Let's take a look at some of the key counties here. I'll point them out for you all. First off, in Polk County, Des Moines. This is where Nikki Haley, now she got 26.5% of the vote. Donald Trump, 38% of the vote. DeSantis, 27% of the vote. And let me tell you why that's important in Polk County, the capital of the state of Iowa, my former residence where I taught at Iowa State University. Let me tell you why Polk County matters and those numbers. Because apparently in Iowa, under the law, Democrats can show up and re-register that evening to be Republicans. And according to Laura Ingraham, who was present in 3 precincts in Polk County where Nikki Haley won those precincts, lots of Democrats showed up to change their party affiliation to vote for Nikki Haley. And despite that subterfuge and the undermining of the democratic process, which has been done by Democrats all over the country repeatedly in these primaries, especially in states like New Hampshire that have open primaries where anybody can vote, despite that subterfuge, Donald Trump is still winning decisively in Polk County. Winning decisively in Polk County. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. This is beyond the pale, shocking for demon rats to understand. Now let's go to Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is at. That's located right here. With 64% of the vote in, Donald Trump, who was trailing Nikki Haley, Trump only had 17% of the vote. Now he has 36% of the vote, and Haley has 34.5%. For some reason, those numbers are slow coming in Johnson County. That is where the University of Iowa is. If Trump even gets over 20% in this county, that's a huge win for Trump. Let me zoom that in a little bit, folks, because you can't see that, I know, very well on your screen. There we go. Let's blow that up a little bit. All right, so here we go. So that's Johnson County right there. You can see Trump is in lead right now at this hour. In Polk County, which is where the state capital is, Trump is way ahead there. And let's go to Story County, just above that, where Iowa State University is. And Trump is leading there now. Trump was trailing here with just 14% of the vote earlier this evening. He now has 33.8%, vice Nikki Haley's 29.9%. This is a county that Nikki Haley was predicted to win outright, big time. These university towns. Because supposedly only dumb, uneducated, white, racist voters vote for Donald Trump. That is the narrative. If you're watching CNN this evening, that's even the narrative on Fox News. These shameful, disgusting, vile race hustlers. That's what they're saying. Insinuating that the people who vote for Trump are dumb, when in fact, university graduates are major supporters of Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, folks. The numbers tonight. In 2016, because they didn't have this caucus in 2020, in 2016 when Donald Trump ran and Ted Cruz won the state, Donald Trump got just 21% of those with a university degree. 21%. Tonight, he leads the polling with 36% of university graduates to Nikki Haley's 30% and Ron DeSantis with just 27%. Donald Trump is out in front. Thank you, Menage a Trois, for your membership. Good to see you again here, Master and Commander. You've got the Easter Island MOA there. So Donald Trump leads. This is blowing the minds of the Democrats. How could Donald Trump possibly be getting the educated, the people that ought to know better, that he's such a fraud? That's what they're saying to themselves. Yet Donald Trump polled 36% of university graduates. Now, in a multi-candidate race, that's impressive, especially given that's 15% better than he did in the last caucus. Haley, just 30% of those university degrees. Wow. Now, for non-college graduates, which is half the population in the state of Iowa, Trump got 65% of that vote, 10% for Haley. So for the dumb, racist white voters of Iowa, who are uneducated, according to the elites who go over flyover country, Nikki Haley can pull in just 10% of that vote, and DeSantis 16%. That's a crushing victory. Trump is winning across all demographics. He's winning Hispanics, blacks, of which there aren't many in Iowa, but he's winning both those categories. He's winning again in the educational background. He's winning against suburban voters. He's winning amongst women voters. Trump is running the table tonight in Iowa. This is unprecedented. This is historic. And this is going to raise questions about who needs to drop out of the race. We're waiting to see who is coming in second. Exactly. By saying that Trump supporters are ignorant, they're trying to influence the next primaries and caucuses. And guess what? They are. People are giving them the middle finger, and they're tired of being called rude. I myself have multiple university degrees. 4 or 5 degrees? Associate, bachelor's, and master's degrees. Got a bunch of them. I'm one of the most highly educated people in the country, and I have no problem voting for the guy. The shameful conduct of the media is unbelievable. So, 40 delegates at stake tonight in Iowa, 99 counties. And Donald Trump was only winning about 2/3. Now he's ahead in every single county that's reported. Only one of the 99 counties has yet to report any votes, and that's Jefferson County, a rural county in southeastern Ohio. Every other county has reported at least some results, and so far we have 85% of the results in. 89% now. 89% of the results are in. Wow. Yes, they're in denial of their bias. They're in denial of reality here. And if it wasn't for the events of 2020, they would not be sitting pretty where they are. Now, here's a statistic that's going to reinforce their bias. Of those voters who voted tonight, remember there were Democrats who changed their affiliation to vote for Republicans in places like Polk County, but of those who voted tonight, which are overwhelmingly Republicans, 6 in 10 do not believe in the results of 2020. 6 in 10 of the people who voted in the primary, and of those, Donald Trump got 79% of the votes of the people who don't believe the results of 2020. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an abject failure for Nikki Haley. The media lavishly supporting her, lavishly running stories talking about what a viable candidate is and how she is surging and how the Nikki tsunami is coming. The media lying, trying to pimp up this unfavorable candidate who no genuine conservative would ever vote for in a million years. Nikki Haley spent $40 million on ads, despite having an abysmal ground game. $40 million on ads. Lavish praise from the media. And she is likely to come in third in this. This is devastating for Nikki Haley. Devastating. Devastating. Unbelievable for her. Yep, not going well for her. This race was called by the media within just 22 minutes of the caucuses opening up. The first results came in, and they called this. They called this at 22 minutes. By contrast, in 2016 when Ted Cruz won, it took an additional 2 hours beyond that. It was 9:30 at night, not 7:22, when they called the race in the media for Ted Cruz. And Donald Trump came in second. Now, the DeSantis campaign is already complaining, and with rightly so, that the media have unduly influenced this because people across the state were still voting, and he is correct. Their campaign is correct. The media should never be doing this, making these projections this early, just reporting hard numbers. But in fact, they tried to affect the results. This is what the media does. Remember in the 2020 choosing, Fox News called Arizona 2 hours before the polls even opened in parts of Arizona. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. So who's here tonight? Ronell's in. Good evening, Ronell, or good morning. Janet Liddy, good evening for you. Light Rain, good evening for you. Matt Canale, good evening for you. Charles Van Olsen, good morning. And Matt says, MSNBC's having a total meltdown, calling Trump a fascist, accusing Iowa of having too many white Christians. Yeah, well, that's because MSNBC is nothing but a race-hustling, slimy network. The fact that they say that is just disgusting. They fail to mention that Trump is winning across all categories, including black and Hispanic voters who are voting. But they'll just dismiss that small number, saying they don't matter. Yep. So, Menage a Qua's here. And then who else we got? Left and the woke think saying something makes it so. Exactly. The Cook money couldn't save her. Nope, couldn't save her. Andrea Fick, welcome to you. Don't believe the results. Seriously, anybody who believes Brandon won is truly a cretin, says Idaho. Chris, I can listen to you for hours. It's a simple, amazing to listen to facts. Well, thank you, Andrea. I really appreciate it. I really look forward to meeting you if I get to the garden route. I think that's where you said you were. So let me give you some more numbers to you folks here really quickly. And this is why the left is going to lose this race if it's legitimate. If there's no funny business, this is why the left will lose this election this year. They'll lose the House, they'll lose the Senate, and they'll lose the White House. This is why. Because they don't pay attention. What is the number one issue Donald Trump ran on in 2016? Immigration. What has Joe Biden done with his lawlessness? He's handed Donald Trump the election with his illegal violation of Title 42, his subterfuge, his lies about the border. People aren't stupid. They see faces all over their neighborhoods. People stealing, people occupying, people kicking kids out of school to use schools, people kicked out of military bases so that they can be housed for criminal alien invaders. People see it. Here you go, folks. Here you go. Those who went to the polls said immigration is about the largest issue of their concern. Immigration and the economy and inflation, all of which are things where Joe Biden is so far underwater, he'll never resurface. But here's issues that are being ignored by the mainstream media. Exit polling, public school issues. 51% of the voters who voted tonight in Iowa said that racism is too much of a discussion in public schools. But more importantly, 71% said that they are sick of schools teaching sexual orientation. Sexual orientation should not be taught in schools, said 71% of the voters tonight. Gender identity. 74% of voters were upset about gender identity being discussed in schools. Wow. Now, as far as the criminal charge against Donald Trump, those who voted tonight in Iowa, the criminal charges against Donald Trump, 22% said the charges are legitimate. These aren't very bright. These must be the Democrats who crossed over to pretend to be Republicans tonight and rhinos. 22% that the charges against Donald Trump are legitimate, but 78% of Iowa caucus voters tonight said the charges against Donald Trump are politically motivated, politically based. They're not legitimate. Wow. 78% of voters. Remember, folks, the largest ever margin in a multi-candidate race in the Iowa caucus since the 1970s under the modern format has been 12.8% by Bob Dole back in 1996. Donald Trump will crush that record, resounding so. On a night when the temperatures are below zero in Iowa, people came out in droves to vote. They're going to try to say the vote was suppressed, the numbers were low, but given the conditions, the number of people showed up is amazingly high. Let's go ahead and try to get an update on what's up now. We're at 90% now, and Donald Trump has bumped up his lead from 50.9 to 51%. 53,000 votes to 22,000 for DeSantis and 19,000 for Haley. And there's still one county that hasn't reported. And let me take a look in on Boone County, that's Trump. On Story County, 95% of the vote is in now in Story County, and Donald Trump has a 33.8% lead to 29.9% for Nikki Haley. He has a 4% lead in that race, which translates to just about 130 votes. So she would have to get 130 of the remaining votes, and given 95% of the vote is in, just 5%, that's 2,000, 3,500. I don't think there's enough votes out there for Nikki Haley to win Story County, where Iowa State University is. This is a shocking victory for Donald Trump. He is expected to lose in counties where universities are, and he is winning. Wow. CNN started the evening with balanced news coverage, but it's quickly degenerated into John King with his nonsense saying idiotic stuff. But the issue of immigration, when voters tonight were asked the question by exit polls, do immigrants help? Now, this is an unfair question. I don't like this question. I wouldn't have asked this question. I would have asked if criminal alien invaders, not immigrants, because immigrants are fine. I don't have a problem with immigrants. But the way this is written down, this question really is designed to make Iowans look like xenophobes. That's the purpose. Immigrants, do they help or hurt America? 23% said immigrants help America, and 77% of the caucus goers tonight said these immigrants are hurting America. I would not say immigrants are hurting America. I would say the criminal alien invaders who violate our sovereignty. If your first act ever is to come to a country and violate its law by invading it, it's highly unlikely that you'll respect and adhere to the laws of the country going forward from there. I'm just saying, that's a statement of fact here, folks. That is a statement of fact. Yeah, so CNN is definitely having a hard time with the Kool-Aid tonight. So Trump is winning in Story County. He's winning in Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is located. He's winning in Polk County, the urban capital of the state. Wow. Unbelievable. With the amount of money, $40 million spent by Nikki Haley, $30 million spent by Ron DeSantis, money wasted, pissed down the drain. Menage a Trois says, if anybody couldn't see Trump whipping the floor with the challenges, they're blind. The problem is it's just like 2016, ladies and gentlemen. This is a repeat of 2016 in so many respects. Number one, what's the biggest issue? Immigration. And then the economy. Same thing in 2016. What's the other big issue? The establishment and the distrust of Washington, D.C. That's coming out in these polls too. And the other thing, the pollsters, the analysts, the election watchers, the so-called journalists are completely missing the mark. They're completely missing the mark. Americans are tired of being called racist. And I'm talking about white, black, all kinds of Americans tired of being called racist. Americans are tired of being preached to and talked down to by the leftist elites on the coast and in the big urban centers. They've had their fill. They've had enough of it. And the voters have spoken tonight in a fashion that is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. And here's something else. Donald Trump spoke earlier. I don't know if he's still speaking, but he started speaking just before the top of the hour. And he was very positive, very friendly, very conciliatory, a very un-Trump-like speech. This is the sort of commentary that's going to get Trump more neutral and more independent voters who will come to him, who are tired of this garbage now that they see Trump has matured and he's behaving like an adult, if he continues that. This performance tonight in Iowa will help him in so many ways. So many ways. Unbelievable. So we are at now, votes still coming in over 90% now, as I said. But let's take a look at the news as it comes up here. First, we got CNN. And CNN, so Trump has finished speaking now. So Haley's supposed to speak soon. Showing that So Nikki Haley's supposed to speak soon. So this one here from Chess Payne, CNN. Trump wins Iowa. CNN projection has Trump cementing the front-runner status in the GOP field. Here they have 19 delegates bound to Donald Trump, 7 to DeSantis, and 7 to Nikki Haley with 52,900. Now, this is important because in Iowa, you can split the vote for delegates. But in New Hampshire and South Carolina, it's winner take all, first past the post. So whoever gets one vote more than anyone else in New Hampshire and South Carolina gets every delegate pledged to them, just like in the Electoral College when you go to the presidential election. So big events coming up. Big events coming up. But Trump wins. And you know that is just burning their shorts at CNN. Burning their shorts. So here we are over on NBC News, which is the one I was showing you earlier. They have Donald Trump here with 51% of the vote, with 90% of the votes in. And look at that. It's all red for Donald Trump. Up here in this county, Trump was trailing DeSantis, and he surged ahead of him. DeSantis had the lead here all evening, and now with 3/4 of the votes in, Donald Trump is up by almost 15 points in that county. Nikki Haley is an afterthought, which is 15% of the vote. Vivek Ramaswamy has done reasonably well tonight, despite the fact that knowing who he was, he's picking up about 7% of the vote around the state. Wow, let's take a look at some of these more rural counties. Here in Kossuth County, 99% of the vote in, Donald Trump, 67% of the vote. Up here, 99% in Emmett County, 68%. 52% in Dickinson County with 95% in. Mitchell County, 99%. Trump is a little bit lower at 49%. But these are small vote counts in places like that. Trump down here, Wayne County, 90%. Trump, 66%. But here's the other one to watch. Johnson County, folks. That hasn't changed. Oh, Nikki Haley's closed ground. All right, 95% of the vote is in, and Nikki Haley closed ground. She might still win this. She's only trailing Trump by 8 votes now. But this is a county where Trump wasn't even on the board here a couple of hours ago, and he's still briefly in the lead here. Trump could still lose Johnson County with 5% of the vote in to come. That's a very close race there. But Trump is wiping the table. He could win all 99 counties. This, for me, is an important race now. Johnson County becomes a very important race because for Trump, it is better if he wins all 99 counties. That's a story that cannot be repeated, and it's incredible. So here we are now. This one here has, this is just 60% of delegates allocated, 95% of the votes in. The New York Times now has 95% of the vote in, so you can be above that. And they have Trump winning here. That's the one we just looked at, 8 votes. Winning here, and winning here. These are all counties where it's close, but Donald Trump is winning every county at the moment with 95% of the vote counted. Donald Trump has 51% of the votes. This is a resounding victory, ladies and gentlemen, an absolutely resounding victory here. The Washington Times, Trump easily wins the Iowa caucus. There you go. Former President Donald Trump easily trounces Republican competitors in the Iowa caucus, dominating the polls in the Hawkeye State for months. Mr. Trump's resounding win, one of the coldest caucus nights in Iowa history, was projected just a half hour after the caucus began. Actually, it was 22 minutes. And support grew to more than 50% as results were tallied. Thank you, Iowa. I love you all, said Donald John Trump. He thanked his family. He thanked his departed mother-in-law, who just passed away, and her husband, as well as his family, and the voters of Iowa. And then he complimented his opponents, saying they all performed well. Here it is in the Washington Post. You know this is giving them chest pains. Former President Trump secured a decisive victory Monday in the frigid Iowa caucus, cementing his formidable grip over the Republican Party and pushing the nation closer to a historic rematch with Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Here's what you need to know, according to the Washington Post. Anyway, the Trump education divide persists with a twist. Donald Trump's 2 previous presidential campaigns demonstrated a clear divide. Voters with college degrees were consistently less likely to support his candidacies. In the years after he reluctantly left office, that pattern emerged in Republican primaries. Candidates backed by Trump fared relatively worse, but not today. The Iowa caucus was the first time Trump was back on the ballot since November 2020. But Trump did better in precincts with fewer college graduate educators. Throughout the night, we've been comparing, but they're lying here. Trump did better with those with a bachelor's degree. He's leading in the state. So this is very dishonest reporting from the Washington Post. Donald Trump has 36% of the college educated, vice 30% for Haley, and 27% for DeSantis. That is 15% better, 15 points better than Trump did in 2016. So they're just lying. They just flat out lie. Here's the New York Times with their news reporting page on this. And here they have how much of the vote reported in. It doesn't say here. But 50, I think that's 95% of the vote right there. Trump winning all the counties. Wow. So 95% likelihood that DeSantis comes in second and Nikki Haley comes in third. After pouring $40 million into Iowa, after being lavished free press and lying stories in the press saying the Nikki surge, the Haley candidacy, she is a viable alternative to Trump. The media tried everything they could to pimp and promote her in the past 6-7 weeks so that she would do well in Iowa, and she's going to come in third, it looks like. Wow, this is an absolute disaster for the Haley campaign. And the Epic Times says Trump wins the Iowa caucus. Race called in less than an hour. They called it in 22 minutes. Captured early, big lead. Now the focus on who comes in second. We're almost there. These are the numbers here. Once again, reporting. I know you can't see that very well, but that's 93% of the vote. They're saying 53,701 votes for Trump, 51% of the electorate. Wow. Ramaswamy has 7.7%. Former President Donald Trump took to the stage, flanked by his sons Don Jr. and Eric. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and his wife, former Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker. That's who that was, Matt Whitaker. I saw him on TV, and other people in the team. I want to thank everybody. Trump said, most important, I want to thank the great people of Iowa. Yep, he wants to bring the country together. That's what he said. Some Iowa voters were puzzled by the early victory call. Well, the media did it, not me. Jacqueline Ricchetti and Lillian Duncan of West Des Moines arrived at Vivek Ramaswamy's watch party, certain that Nikki Haley was the lead after winning the vote in Precinct 311. Everywhere we've been, Nikki Haley won, said Miss Ricchetti, the caucus captain, noting that the state GOP had extended caucus start times from 7 to 7:15. When they learned that former President Trump was declared the winner a short time later at 7:32, they were both puzzled. We hadn't even voted at that point. I voted at 7:49. Yep, well, that's what they did in 2020 against Trump, so you shouldn't be surprised at all. Should not be surprised at all. You should not be surprised at all, folks. The Ron DeSantis team cries foul, and I think they have legitimate reason to do this. The media is irresponsible in calling this race so quickly. DeSantis' team cries foul after Iowa called early for Trump. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida lashed out at the media tonight after networks declared former President Trump the winner before some caucus sites had started voting. It's absolutely outrageous the media would participate in election interference by calling the race before tens of thousands of Iowans had even had a chance to vote, said DeSantis spokesman Andrew Romeo. The media's in the tank for Trump, and this is the most egregious example yet. Just like they're in the Trump for Joe Biden, just like they're in the Trump for Nikki Haley, just like they're in the Trump for in the tank for Trump in 2016. It's the same thing all over again, folks. The same thing all over again. The media are dishonest. The legacy media. Shame on them. You'll notice that I didn't go live with my broadcast telling you who won this race until 11 p.m. when 90% of the vote was in. That's when I waited, when I had 90%. I watched the election results, and I waited for the numbers to come in, and I waited until 11 p.m. to do this broadcast 29 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, to bring this broadcast to you to tell you who won the race. Yep. Now, I did put a banner up an hour ago so you could see it, but it was already decided by then too. But I did not interfere in this like the legacy media does. Let me get back over here and see where we're at. If we got any more updates, 91% in the NBC News now. Just 11,000 votes remaining, and Trump is dipped back to 50.9. It's critical to stay over 50%, and he's still ahead in every county. Yep. He's just 8 votes ahead of Nikki Haley in Johnson County, but he's ahead. And this is an all-red sweep night for Donald Trump at the moment. And let's hope that it continues if you're supporting Trump. Graham, welcome to you. Good to see you again. Is this victory the largest in Iowa? It is the largest menage a trois. And that's what I said when I started this thing. This is the single largest ever victory. Now, it's going to be the largest in 2 respects. In a 2-person race, the biggest win ever was 48%, I think, for George Bush over his opponent. But he only won by a couple points. In a multi-candidate race, this is the largest margin ever, and it will be the largest vote get ever if he gets over 50% in an Iowa caucus. No candidate has ever gotten over 50% in an Iowa caucus, ever, prior to this. This will be the first time ever, and even if he doesn't get over 50%, he's going to still beat that record because I think what was the highest one ever is 40-some%, and so he'll beat that. Plus, the biggest margin ever in an Iowa caucus was 12.8% with Bob Dole. Let me just look up the numbers here. Let's go back and see if I can find a total here on this. Okay, sorry. That's not what I wanted. It opened up another window here. So, Iowa caucus. All right, I'm just trying to see if it's listed. I don't want news. Does it give me news? I don't want news. No, I don't want news. It's just giving me news. I want the historic stuff. Iowa caucus. I want results. Iowa caucus past results. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm trying to find something. Usually there's a Wikipedia page on this, but nobody's put a Wikipedia page up on this. It's crazy. It's all news. Will you quit asking me that? I already told you. This stupid thing. I'm looking for it here. Nothing coming up. I know I found it before. All right, so yeah, but this doesn't tell me. In 2000, George Bush won. He became the nominee. In 2004, there was no Republican caucus. 2008, Huckabee beat John McCain, but McCain became the nominee. In 2012, Santorum won. Mitt Romney became the nominee. In 2016, Ted Cruz won, and Donald Trump became the nominee. And in 2020, Trump, but they didn't really run that proper way. So I'm looking for the results of the previous ones here. Yeah, it's not giving me that. So anyway, all right. Well, unfortunately, I can't find that. Maybe in a later time. But yes, this will be the largest ever result. Just flat out. All right, let me look through my notes here. I made a bunch of notes as the evening progressed here. The big points I wanted to bring out to you guys. I talked about the immigration thing. By the way, nearly half of Nikki Haley's votes in Polk County were Democrats who re-registered as Republicans tonight so they could vote and distort the outcome. So in Polk County, despite the fact that half her votes, so that's a few thousand people, she still only got 26%, and Trump ran away with Polk County with 38%, 95% of the vote in. That's insane. Democrats went to cheat in the primary to affect the results, and she still got clobbered. This is a historic largest ever Iowa caucus margin. The previous record was 12.8% by Bob Dole in 1996. The DeSantis campaign is complaining about the early announcement of the results, even before people voted. I agree. Now, John King from CNN. I watched him earlier, and he was watching votes being counted in one of the precincts. They had a camera on it. and they were pulling out out of a popcorn basket, the kind you go to the theater and it says popcorn. Instead of popcorn, it was full of votes. People fill out their cards, they dump it in there. The votes were being done by hand. Now, John King lied to America and misled America. And let me tell you why. As a judge of elections, I can tell him he's so full of crap, his eyes are brown. And this is why. This is not verbatim, but this is the essence of what John King said. We are looking at a vote count, and this is the way it's done. This is why Americans should have confidence in our voting system. This is how it's done all over America. That's a lie. Virtually nowhere in America do people fill out a piece of paper and then someone stands there and counts it and people can observe it right in front of their eyes. That doesn't happen. Also, this is an election run not by government, not by the county, not by the state, not by the federal government, not by the local government. This is an election held entirely by the Republican Party. Hence, it's secure. There's no question about the legitimacy of it because it unfolds right in front of people's eyes. As the vote counting, they said, we've tallied the numbers, the preliminary count. We're going to recount them now. We're also going to ensure that we don't have more ballots than the number of people who are here tonight, right? In order to make it valid. That is not how elections are conducted in America. I can tell you that none of my poll workers know who got a vote on anything. It doesn't work that way. People fill out a piece of paper with a Sharpie, they mark it, they leave the booth, they walk to another room, they put it in a machine, the machine automatically counts the votes. The ballot is dumped in the bottom of the box, secured in the evening and turned in. None of my poll workers know who got voted for. I don't know who got voted for. And all the votes are recorded onto a compact flash card. There's a backup flash card, which is not a backup, but actually a secondary method, which is secured and something that I as judge cannot access. Only the elections officials can, to make sure there's no monkey business. That's how ours is done. But John King lied to America. That is not how the elections are done around the country. Trying to give people, they're all trying to play down the results of the previous choosing, pretending and calling everybody that denies it a big liar. Well, it's not a lie. Stop it, nonsense. And I can't go any further in that conversation because of the censorship on this platform. We know how that works. All right, so amongst college graduates tonight, Donald Trump, 36% of college graduates voted for Trump. Vice just 30% for Nikki Haley and 27% for Ron DeSantis. This was an area Donald Trump was supposed to get crushed. In 2016, Donald Trump got just 21% of college graduates. So he's raised it considerably, and he's in first place. Amongst those without a college degree, those with a high school degree or less, 65% voted for Trump, 10% for Haley, and 16% for Ron DeSantis. Trump is winning across all polling groups. Suburban women, rural, evangelicals, blacks, Hispanics, whites. Now, there aren't many Hispanics and blacks in Iowa, but they are there. Amongst income groups, Trump is winning everywhere. And at the last, it's turned, Nikki Haley has moved ahead of Trump in one county. In Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is, she has moved ahead of him just now. She is now ahead of Donald Trump by a single vote. A single vote, ladies and gentlemen. Nikki Haley has 1,271 votes to Donald Trump's 1,270 votes in Johnson County. That is insane. Let's take a look at that, folks, and bring it up on the screen here. It just updated. Notice it was all red. Now we got the dark red, which is Nikki Haley. And look at that. Nikki Haley, 1,271 votes to Donald Trump's 1,270. Oh, that's too much, man. That's too much. And we're now at, what's the percentage in? 93% of the vote in. Trump has almost 55,000 votes. He has 20 of the 40 delegates secured. He has 20 of the 40 delegates secured. And then let's see, all candidates, I think that's all of them. Okay, so we have now 28, 35, 37 of the 40 delegates are committed. Only 3 delegates remain. Only 3 delegates remain. Trump should get at least 1, maybe 2 of those. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I don't know who Ryan Brinkley is. Asa Hutchinson got nothing. Chris Christie got 35 votes. Krispy Kreme got 35 votes in the entire state. Asa Hutchinson got 189. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if I run for office, I'm going to get more than 189 votes. I'm pretty sure of that. Asa Hutchinson in the entire state of Iowa got 189 votes. I think it's time for Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, to leave the race and stop wasting our time. Did the caucus win mean Iowa president? No, it doesn't, scientist. It doesn't. Actually, it means not a whole lot in the scheme of things other than it can propel momentum for candidates and also can retard the progress of other candidates. The Iowa caucus is not a guarantee of who's going to win. As we've seen, not even guarantee who the nominee for the party will be is past has proven. But this is a historic victory and likely does portend who the nominee will be in this case because of the circumstances. Idaho Garden Girl said, yep, the Democrats do that in Idaho also. I've asked Democrats, why do you do that? They say, why not? Everything's fair. You're shocked that they were so corrupt. They are so corrupt. They don't care. They don't care about democracy. They just care about raw naked power, which is the truth. Charles is saying, yes, no, it's not true, Charles. It doesn't mean he's going to be the nominee. But yeah, odds are darn good. They interviewed earlier former Speaker of the House of Representatives and multi-author Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was asked by my least favorite broadcaster there. What's his name there? Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity was interviewing him, and he said, so what does this mean? And Newt Gingrich says, the race is over. They all need to pull out. Trump is the nominee. There's no point wasting money and resources. Trump will win this race, hands down. It's all decided. That's what he said. Yep, that's what he said. What's the next step for the candidates not named Trump to do? Just suspend their campaigns? Well, I would say that at this point that Nikki Haley is going to hold in because she thinks she can do well in New Hampshire. Ron DeSantis has to think very hard about what's going on with him. Vivek Ramaswamy, I think he'll probably hang around the race, but one of them should probably drop out. Hutchison needs to go. He's wasting people's time. And I think that Nikki Haley will have to make some decisions here. She spent $40 million, ladies and gentlemen. $40 million in Iowa, one state. Multiply that by 50 states. If she's spending that much money in a state, she can't sustain that. 10 states, that would be $400 million. She would have to spend $800 million to win the nomination at this rate. Now, obviously, she's not going to spend that kind of money. Some states will spend $1 or $2 million or less, but this is crazy. DeSantis spent a ton of money as well, and he is toast here. So we'll see. 8,000 votes remain, and 3 delegates are still at stake here. 20 have been pledged to Trump, 8 to DeSantis, 7 to Haley, and 2 to Ramaswamy. Did Vivek drop out? Let me see. Where did you see that at? I'll go to Twitter and see if he dropped out. Let me see if something comes up. Vivek? Let's see if he posted something. No, he's talking to people. Doesn't say anything about being live. He's in Clive, Iowa. So this is, let me see.
Microscopic issue relative to the actual result. The result speaks for itself. And so I can be today empathetic of other candidates who are holding on to some hope or path that they have and latching on to whatever they can. I can say that I'm somewhat sympathetic to that because we went through several cycles of that this evening in a short compressed period of time. But, you know, the campaign was founded on truth, right? And so I have been unsparing in speaking what I see as the hard truths to the media, to the Democrats, to the Republicans. And I think we have to speak the hard truth to our campaign about based on the facts that I see. And so I think that that's a fig leaf. And I say that with due respect to people who are probably processing some difficult emotions and the disappointment they're experiencing too. But I don't think that that was a factor that mattered tonight.
Could you see yourself as vice president?
It sounds like Vivek has withdrawn from the race.
Yes, would you do it?
See, here's the thing. My number one criteria for me is I'm always going to speak my convictions. I'm not somebody who's going to be able to speak anyone's convictions but my own. And so if that's a role that I can perform.
Vivek Ramaswamy appears he has withdrawn from the race. Let's see if the news has got that.
Is best for the future of this country. But my number one.
Let me try just go to the CNN's reporting it.
Is to speaking my own convictions and whatever allows us to serve this country.
Yep, he's suspending his campaign. Yep.
I'm all in to do.
Who exactly was involved in the decision? Obviously, of course, was
All right, so it says Vivek Ramaswamy announced he's suspending his president's campaign. Yep. Earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him I congratulate him on his victory. Now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. Vivek Ramaswamy has withdrawn from the race in a valiant effort on the part of Vivek Ramaswamy. That was absolutely brilliant on his part, the effort he put out here. He put a lot of time and energy into it. And I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, the nearly 8% of the vote that Vivek Ramaswamy got tonight, I'm telling you over 90% of that is Trump vote. 90%. So you can take 6% of that, or 7% of that 7.7% he got tonight, add that to Trump's 51%, and it's even a bigger thumping. It was on your screen there, Colonel. I didn't see it. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. He did drop out. Yep. Vivek Ramaswamy has dropped out. He becomes the Iowa candidate. I don't know what you mean by the Iowa candidate. There's no such thing as an Iowa candidate. So Ramaswamy's out, and nothing but class. And salute to Vivek Ramaswamy, who gave it a great effort in this race. He has dropped out of the race, despite he got 8,221 votes, and those two candidates are pledged to him. I don't know if he's allowed to offer them up to someone else or how that works, but he is, So Nikki Haley's still one vote ahead of Trump over there in that race in Johnson County. Come on, Johnson County. Do it for Trump, baby. Do it for Trump. Trump is at 55,000 votes now. This one's behind. Yeah, so that one's behind. Trump here has 54,000, 54,700, 54,000. Okay, they're both in the same spot. Yep. They've all got the same amount now with Trump at 54,000. Nikki Haley speaking now, folks. Let's see what she's got to say. Let's see if she pulls out. Let's see if Nikki Haley pulls out. Hercules, 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 Hercules.
Now, I have some people I need to thank.
You going to drop out?
Right here in Iowa, we have so many great supporters. And I only have time to mention a few, but it's important. Marlis Patma. Many of you know and love Marlis, who has been a conservative fighter her entire career.
Okay, I'm going to turn her off for a few minutes, but Nikki Haley's now speaking. Vivek Ramaswamy has dropped out of the race, and Nikki Haley is speaking. If she drops out of the race, it's over. It's over. If Haley drops out of the race, it's over. Now, DeSantis will get a lot of the votes that Haley has had, but the race is over. Hey, Vilma Rasmus, Nikki won't drop out. She needs to spend Cook's money. Well, we'll see. We'll see. If DeSantis drops out, man, let's see. But Vivek did the honorable thing.
Nikki Haley addressed her supporters right here in Iowa after coming in third place, according to CNN's projections.
So I guess she's done. That's it. So third place. And there's Chris Wallace, the little weasel himself. Seeing Chris Wallace on screen. He is such a weasel. Did everything he could to lie about Donald Trump earlier when I watched him. So we're still at 93% of the vote. I don't know what's taking so long to get the rest of these votes in. But Johnson County is now at 99%, and Haley is up by 1 vote in Johnson County. It is the only county, if Donald Trump can't secure 2 more votes, that he will not win at this point. That's crazy. Trump's total has dropped to 51%. Oh, it's gone back up to 51% even. Wow. Trump is, wow. This is crazy. This is crazy stuff. Yeah, Chris Wallace is disgusting. There was a time when he was balanced, but that quickly disappeared. He is a political operative disguised as a journalist, and he's a disgrace to his father, an absolute disgrace to his father. Lee Roberts, he says, good morning from an ice-cold London. Well, good morning to you, Lee. And ladies and gentlemen, let me run back through the highlights here once again for the 35 viewers here, those tuning in from around the globe at this hour. It is 11:47 Eastern Standard Time, 10:47 Central Time, where Iowa is located at, and tonight has seen a tsunami, a virtual tsunami, as Donald John Trump has not only defeated, but crushed his opponents in the Iowa caucus. Many things will be written about this caucus. CNN's already trying to make false claims that those without education are the ones who vote for Trump. Those with education don't vote for him. That the cold weather depressed turnout and Trump benefited from it. Well, none of that's true. Donald Trump leads amongst university graduates in this caucus. 36% of those who voted who have a university degree voted for Donald Trump. 30% who have a university degree voted for Nikki Haley, and 27% for Ron DeSantis. So Trump, who got just 21% of university graduates in the 2016 caucus when he lost to Ted Cruz, gets 15% more of the voters here at this time who have a university degree. Donald Trump is winning all across the board. Amongst those who do not believe in the choosing of 2020, 6 in 10, more than 6 in 10 voters say that Joe Biden is not legitimate. And 79% of those people voted for Donald Trump. Wow. Wow, absolutely crazy. Nikki Haley spent $40 million, DeSantis about $30 million, and they come up with less votes combined than Donald Trump. Absolutely shocking outcome here, folks. This is a crazy, crazy situation. Unbelievable what's going on here. So, wow. At this hour, Donald Trump has already spoken and thanked everyone for his victory. In addition to that, we're still seeing that Vivek Ramaswamy has dropped out of the race. He's gone. And they got Haley up here now by, one vote. Crazy. So one vote. So your vote always matters, ladies and gentlemen. Johnson County, Iowa, where the University of Iowa, the Hawkeyes are located at, Nikki Haley leads in that countywide race by a single vote out of about 3,000 votes cast. Every vote counts, folks. When you say my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter, nothing changes, well, then you are sitting on your bum and not making a difference. Get off your butt, get out there and make a difference. Vote. Your vote counts. I'm a bit confused. They're competing for Iowa votes, the Republican choice. Does winning these votes mean that Canada is Iowa's candidate effectively? Yes, it does, Charles. It does. What it means, so what you're doing when you compete in a party, a political party, Democrat, Republican, Green Party, you're competing for delegates. The parties decide how many delegates they have. I'm not sure how Iowa came up with it, but Iowa has 40 delegates. Now, most states conduct a primary, which is an election run by the state. So, for instance, here in Pennsylvania, in April 23rd, there'll be a primary. Republicans can only vote in a Republican primary. Democrats can only vote in the Democratic primary. No one else can vote in any other. You have to be a registered party member to vote in a primary. On April 23rd, the state of Pennsylvania will hold that race. We as taxpayers will pay for that race, but we're doing it for the political parties so they can select their candidate, and the delegates will then go. Each state is different. The state of Iowa has a caucus. A caucus is when political party members get together and have discussions or make policy decisions or vote on something. And that's why Iowa has a caucus. They're first in the nation. This is not a formal vote as such. So the caucus winner, based on the number of votes, gets delegates. So far, of the 40 delegates in the state of Iowa, Donald Trump has gotten 20 of them. He could potentially get 22 or 23 of the 40. The rest are divided amongst the other candidates. In most of the other states, the way that it works is that whoever gets first past the post, what I mean by first past the post is one more vote, not 50 plus one, but one more vote than the next candidate. If you have one more vote than the next candidate, you get all the votes. So let's say there's still 3 candidates in New Hampshire. There's Haley, DeSantis, and Trump. And they each get like 30%. So Trump gets 34%, Haley gets 33%, and DeSantis gets 32%. Or does that come out to 100? Something like that. So then it comes out to 99. Then what happens is, since Trump got more than the other candidates, even though he only got 34%, he gets all of the delegates in New Hampshire. States do it differently. So you have to understand the whole system. This does mean that Trump is in the lead for delegates, and you have to get over the threshold. I think for the Republicans, it's 2,200 or something like that delegates get you the nomination. So these delegates are now obliged to vote for Trump at the Republican convention that takes place in September, most likely. And that's how it works. I hope that explains it a little bit better. So Ted Cruz reminds a bit of Werewolf. His beard looks funny on him. Yours looks much more composed. Well, thank you for that, Spike Rohn. Looks like a type of guy that was big on the... I'm a bit confused. Okay, so Charles, are you straight now? Does that make sense? So a caucus is a closed meeting of a group of persons belonging to the same political party or faction, usually to select candidates or decide on policy. Iowa's traditionally been the first state every 4 years old a presidential nominating contest, in this case a caucus, not a primary. So, voters attend the caucus. They listen to representatives for the candidate make their pitch. It can be the candidate. In the case of Trump and the other candidates tonight, they all spoke at one place or another. And then you have, in Clive, it was Nikki Haley. She was speaking there. You can go anywhere they speak. But in other places around the state, then someone representing the candidate will make a pitch for the candidate, and multiple candidates can have someone make the pitch for them. And then they listen to it, short speech. Then they all go cast their ballot. In this case, they all did on a piece of paper or an index card, fold it up, drop it in a basket. The votes are counted manually in front of everybody and recounted. And then the delegates are allocated. In Iowa, each candidate receives a share of the state's 40 delegates in proportion to their share of the votes, kind of like South Africa's proportional representation system. Can anyone go to a caucus? Just like primary elections, some states allow voters to come regardless of party affiliation. Iowa's one of those. Some require you to have been a registered party member beforehand and use a mix of the two. Iowa Republicans, for example, allow you to sign up to become a party member on the night of the caucus. And in the 3 precincts in Polk County where Nikki Haley won, half the people that showed up were Democrats and changed their affiliation right there to vote for Nikki Haley. Otherwise, she would have got even fewer votes. Yep. So anyway, that's the situation. Let me go back and see what the totals are now. We're now at 94% of the vote. Donald Trump is increasing his lead. It's now at 51.1%. And he's still trailing in Johnson County by 1 vote. I think he's going to lose that county by 1 vote. Can you imagine that? Otherwise, he would have run the table in 99 counties. 99 counties. Ladies and gentlemen, at this hour, it is not a victory. It is not a win. It is an absolute soul-crushing defeat for the Republican contenders. Donald Trump has run the table. At this moment, 98 of the 99 counties, he's ahead with 94% of the vote in. He's gotten 20 of the 40 delegates already allocated to him, with 3 delegates outstanding as we wait for remaining about 8,000 or 6,500 votes to be counted. He has won in every demographic. He's winning amongst suburban women. He's winning amongst rural voters. He's winning amongst college graduates. He's winning amongst non-college graduates. He is winning amongst every group, every demographic, black, white, Hispanic, everyone. Donald Trump is wiping the table with his opponents in Iowa. This is shocking. Yes, I'm pretty sure, menage a trois, that 98 counties will be a record as well. I don't think anyone's ever done that. What date will we know which candidates will actually be running for president? Well, do you mean what date will we know what the Democrat and Republican candidates will be? Because the Green Party, after each party holds its convention, folks, and the Republican convention, let's see where the conventions are this year. So let me check and see, because one was in Tallahassee. I'm not sure. 2024 Republican convention. Okay. 2024 Republican convention is Milwaukee, July. That's early. Wow, they're doing it early. So July 15th to the 18th in Milwaukee is a Republican convention. So now we got 2024 Democrat convention. So that's early. Usually it's like in September. 2024 Democratic convention. That one is in Chicago. Good luck with that. And what's the date on that? Does it have the date? August 19th to 22nd. So there's a separation. So the Republicans will have theirs in Milwaukee in July, which is early, and the Democrats will have theirs in August, a month later, in Chicago. So there's when those. So we'll know who the Republican nominee is in July, and they'll have from July 18th to August, September, October 18th. They'll have over 3 months to campaign as the Republican nominee for president. It's an incredible victory for Donald Trump. He didn't win in 2016. 2020 was a fait accompli because it wasn't really a contest. No one was against him, so he won it. Yep. And most probably Trump versus Haley for Republican president. I don't know. The Vivek did quit Arctic. Vivek has dropped out. He did the honorable thing tonight. He said that his campaign was about truth. And the truth is that no one can beat Donald Trump. And so he withdrew from the race tonight. He congratulated Donald Trump on his victory. And brilliant stuff by Vivek Ramaswamy. So far at this hour, we're still waiting for about 6,500 raw votes to come in. And we're at 94% of the total. Donald Trump's lead is increasing. He's now at 51.1%. And in addition to that, he has 98 of the 99 counties. He's losing 1 county, Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is located. And that county is losing to Nikki Haley by a single vote. 1 vote. 1 vote. They would be too scared. Trump hits them over a threat and calls up their bluff. Idaho Garden Girl, that is very early for the of recent elections. They used to be around that time all the time. I think the reason for that is that they wanted to have more time to campaign because they're not in office. When Trump was in office and the incumbent, there was no point having the convention earlier because they knew Trump was going to be it and they could keep the race and the attention going. Once the nomination is secured, some of the interest is falls off. So there was no reason to have it any earlier in 2020. But this year, they probably want to lock it down, have their nominee, and give that nominee, let's say it's not Trump. The other person's going to have to get their name out there for 3 months. If all the other candidates dropped out, the GOP could start campaigning tomorrow. Well, yeah, if they drop out, Trump will start campaigning if he's going to be the nominee right now. Based on tonight, he'll do that. But if the other candidates drop out, they'll still hold these primaries. They're scheduled. People will still go and vote. What state caucus now? New Hampshire is next. It's not a caucus. Well, now we go to primaries. Iowa's an odd bird with a caucus. The rest do primaries. The New Hampshire primary is next week. Originally, I was going to be in Nashua, New Hampshire at the radio station WSMN for the primary, but I've got some other events taking place back here in Pennsylvania, and I won't be able to go to Nashua, New Hampshire next week, which is a shame. I really wanted to be there in Nashua, New Hampshire for the primary next week. I would spend the whole day there, get there the night prior, spend the election day there, and go into the radio station and broadcast, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to do that, so it's unfortunate, but hey, I've got other priorities I have to take care of right now, and that's more pressing. But yeah, so New Hampshire's next. It's next Monday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. New Hampshire's primary. So let me go ahead. I had all the races. Let me see. Yeah, $123 million was spent on advertising alone in Iowa, of which $40 million was spent by Nikki Haley. Wow, that's crazy. Let me see if I can find. That's not it. Somewhere here. That's not it either. I know I had this somewhere. So give me a moment here. I'll try to find it. If it's over here. Nope. By the way, some folks have been joining my Substack. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find a link for this thing. So hang on a second here. So that's not what I want. I want profile. I want my newsletter. There you go. All right. So if you want to join my newsletter, folks, I did a story on Gaza, South Africa, Gaza, Israel, and the ICJ. That is that's posted there. I have. Where's that? Come on. Where are we at? Here we are. So here you go. There you go. That's the link on my Substack. You can go over there and subscribe. It's free. I don't charge for my Substack, at least not yet. Maybe one day I might, but right now I don't because I don't publish that much. But if you want to join Substack, you can do that. Still looking to find a Haley supporter anywhere but Twitter. Exactly. It's all fake. It's vaporware. It's all nonsense. All nonsense. The other nuke-mad countries will stop their threats if Trump wins again. Yep. Let's go, Brandon, was said a few times in the backdrop. I didn't see that. I think some state has different amount of delegates. Yeah, all of them are different. They're different. I'm trying to find that now. Let me see. Google. I found this before. So 2024 Republican delegates by state. Okay. Delegate tracker. Here's one. Delegate count. That's Des Moines Register. Okay, New York Times. Let's see. All right, so let me see which one of these is going to give me the best results here. Okay, that ain't going to help. That's not going to help. So, oh, this one will work. Okay, this is from the Des Moines Register. That's actually pretty good. Okay. All right, this is a good map here. So let me do this. Okay, so we're going to do this. Okay, here's the, get rid of that one. Okay, so here's the delegate count. Okay, I'm going to show you this real quick. So hang tight. I need to put the screen up and not my browser. So this is how it works for those who are curious. Okay, so Republican presidential delegate count for 2024. Right now they're saying Trump has 19, but that's still working. So here's state by state. Okay, so for instance, New Hampshire, which is located right there, has 22 delegates on January 23rd. So a week from tonight, 22 delegates. Then comes South Carolina. South Carolina comes much later. That's February 24th, has 50 delegates. Texas has 161. California has 169. Pennsylvania has 67. New York has 91. Minnesota 39. So all of them have different numbers. Washington State 43. Maine 20. Okay. Maryland has 37 delegates. West Virginia 32. Virginia 48. Florida 125. So they're based on population, but that's how they break it out. So it looks like so Trump gets the first one at the moment. That's what we're talking about there. All right. So now here you go. This is how the primary races work. Now, this is important because you've heard the term Super Tuesday. So Super Tuesday is a date when a bunch of states have their election on a Tuesday. And in this case, it's March 5th. That's Super Tuesday on March 5th, folks. So on March 5th has their primary, and that is Super Tuesday. Pennsylvania has theirs on April 23rd, so it's after Super Tuesday. By then, we will have largely already determined who the person's going to be. I think tonight we've already determined it's going to be Trump. But realistically, we'll know by Super Tuesday for sure. So January 15th is Iowa caucus, 40 delegates. Then by January 23rd, with the additional delegates, the 22 from New Hampshire, there'll be 62 delegates awarded. Then we jump ahead to February 6th. We're still at 62. Then February 8th, it's 92 because another doesn't tell me which primary there. Then we jump ahead to February 14th, 142, 158. By March 2nd, it's 229. March 3rd, 249. March 4th, 277. March 5th, it jumps to 1,151 delegates. 1151. And it just keeps going up. These are all the different races jump in here. So 15 states and one territory will elect 1/3 of the delegates on a single day on March 5th. Yep. And the convention's July 15th. So you need 2,429, something like that. That's the total number of delegates. So, yeah. So there you go. Here you go. New Hampshire's January 23rd. Nevada is February 6th. Then Nevada has a Republican caucus also on the 8th. The primary doesn't award the delegates. It's the caucus on the 8th. South Carolina primary is on February 24th. Michigan primary is on February 27th. March 2nd, it's Idaho, Michigan, Missouri. March 3rd, D.C. March 4th, North Dakota. And then Super Tuesday, Alabama, Alaska, American Samoa, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia. March 10th, Wyoming. March 12th, Georgia, Hawaii, Mississippi, Washington. The 15th, the Marianas Islands. The 16th, Guam. The 19th, Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Kansas, Ohio. Then the 23rd, Louisiana. April 2nd, Connecticut, Delaware, New York, Rhode Island, Wisconsin. April 6th, Missouri. 20th, Wyoming. 21st, Puerto Rico. The 23rd of April, Pennsylvania. Wow. Wow. And it goes on and on. So there you go. The last primary is scheduled for June 4th, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. And then the convention is in July. So not too far after that. Wow. So there you go. That's the delegate tracking right there. 1,215 delegates is what you need. 1,215, and Trump now has 20. So he needs 1,195 as of right now. So there you go. So that's what's going on with that. That's how that works. For those who are curious, let me get back and check the results and see if we got any updates here on the vote totals. We were down to 6,500 last time we looked. Now we're down. It's still 6,500. No change. No change. And Nikki Haley's still winning that one county by a single vote. That is funny. 55,320. What do we got over here? 55,400. Okay, that one's a little bit higher. Okay. So, Gerald Lazarus, good morning to you. Welcome, folks. Donald Trump rolls over the competition tonight. An absolutely stunning result. A record-setting performance in the Iowa caucus. The largest ever margin in the Republican caucus. This is a margin of 30 points. Right now, it's 30 points, 29.9 points. 51.1 to 21.1 is the closest competitor. He's won by 30 points. That's a record. The highest margin ever in a multi-candidate race in the past was 12.8% with Bob Dole back in 1996. Today, Donald Trump secures a 30-point victory. In addition to that, no candidate has ever scored over 50% of the vote. At this hour, it looks like Trump will succeed getting over 50% of the vote, despite the polls suppressing voters and saying just 48% of people would vote for Trump. It's a 51+% at this hour. Already this evening, we've seen Vivek Ramaswamy has withdrawn from the race and congratulate Donald Trump on his victory. That 7.7% of the vote that Vivek Ramaswamy got, I guarantee you, virtually every one of those voters will vote Donald Trump because he is an ultra-conservative like Trump, and that is a good win for Trump. Those votes will now come to him, not from Iowa, but the people who would have voted for him in other states will now likely vote for Donald Trump. And it's just Trump, 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 Trump. The media is aghast. The CNN, MSNBC is gobsmacked. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. Even Fox is befuddled by this. But they try to run the nonsense, playing the card of racism and saying that it's too white, it's too Christian, and that it doesn't represent America. But they are just full of themselves. 99 counties in the state of Iowa, 98 have gone so far for Donald Trump, and just one single vote is keeping Donald Trump from leading in all 99 counties. That's absolutely crazy. This race was called just 30 minutes into the race by the media. I saw it at 22 after, but other news stations reporting it at 32 after the hour. This is a full 2 hours earlier than the 2016 caucus when Ted Cruz defeated Donald Trump. Shocking. Interesting. A question was asked, and this is, I think, a wrong question asked and inappropriate. It should have been asked, do criminal alien invaders help or harm America? But the question was, do immigrants help or harm in America? And on this issue, 77% of caucus goers said that immigrants hurt America. Just 23% say immigrants help America. I don't agree with that sentiment. Immigrants do help America, but I agree with the sentiment that criminal alien invaders who violate our laws and invade our nation are harmful to our nation. I agree with that 100%. Yep. Money was lavishly spent in this. The media heaped praise and tried to pimp up Nikki Haley, saying she was surging, she was popular, she was the answer, she was the candidate that could defeat Joe Biden, and none of that's true. And all of the media have been exposed for frauds tonight in their effort, not to mention the Koch brothers and the money they poorly spent on this deadbeat, not conservative Nikki Haley. Unbelievable. Trump won in every category, even won in Story County, which is where Iowa State University is, a liberal bastion that I used to live in. Donald Trump has won in Story. Well, there's still 5% of the vote out there, but he's ahead by 4%. It seems unlikely Nikki Haley would catch him there. She has recaught him in Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is at, the Hawkeyes, but she's only winning by a single vote. Trump wasn't even on the table here early in the evening, and he surged back to take the lead, and then slipped back by 1 vote. Trump is USA. What? He sees winning as a side issue. He does not feel any threat from his competitors. It'd be so funny if he managed to run. He's not going to be in prison. That's ridiculous. Mr. Punisher, hello to you. I only dig Trump winning to piss off Joe, Janet Yellen. What's next for Vivek? Campaign for Trump? Yeah, he'll likely campaign for Donald Trump, I would suspect. And I would not be surprised when Trump wins if Vivek Ramaswamy is offered a cabinet position. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Would not be surprised. He could easily have a redemption arc from Trump's one slightly mean tweet. Well, whatever. Mean tweets. People need to get over that stuff. Putin will stop his war and suggest Donald Trump for Nobel Prize to skip the heat. Maybe. Scientist, Puerto Rico is on the list. It is on the list. So I'm not sure if I just didn't get to it or what, but Puerto Rico is on the list. Let me get to that. Hang on a second here. So Puerto Rico is on that list. Where's it at here? It's in this one here. Where was Puerto Rico at? Puerto Rico is on April 21st, 2 days before Pennsylvania. 23 delegates. Are you in Puerto Rico? Is that why you're curious? Anyway, yeah, media should be neutral. The media is not neutral. They're not even remotely neutral here. Not even remotely neutral. They're shameful, 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 shameful. As I said, John King lied to the public, trying to give the impression that what was happening in Iowa happens everywhere in America. He didn't try to give the impression. He stated it outright. He said, see, look at this. This is how it's done all over America, despite the people who lied about the previous events and the choosing of 2020. This is how it's done. Look at them counting confidence in our election. No, jackass. John King, that's not how it's done. This is a caucus, not being conducted by the government, but being conducted by a political party. And they're doing it transparently in front of everybody with paper ballots. And before announcing results, they recount them in front of everybody. There's no need for election observers. Everybody present is an observer. And the vote is secure and confident. All done on the same day. That's not how elections are conducted in this country, especially after 350 lawsuits by the corrupt Democratic Party. And if you don't believe me, read this book. Rigged by Molly Hemingway. I won't share the whole title because YouTube will censor. Rigged by Molly Hemingway, the journalist. An absolutely in-depth analysis of events that happened from 2017 onward. Yep. The Puerto Rico, yes, of course they have the right to vote. They're Americans. They're Americans. Yep. They get to vote. Absolutely. Absolutely. American citizens. Yep, they sure are. But they do not get a representative in Congress or in the Senate because they're not a state. They're a territory. So, what's this? I have no idea what Spiker Hunt is talking about. Yeah, but they're not a state. Yeah, they're not a state. They're a territory. But they're American citizens. That's the unique status of Puerto Rico. Look, there's all kinds of things that are, it's sometimes a little difficult to explain, but that's just the way that's legally done. Puerto Rico is a territory. There are 3 groups of people in Puerto Rico. One group wants statehood, one group wants independence, and one group wants status quo. And that's kind of the way politics has been divided in Puerto Rico for years. They benefit. They are American citizens, but they don't have to pay federal income tax. Yet they get welfare payments from the government. It's a really sweet deal for Puerto Ricans, but they moan and complain about it all the time. And then they flood New York City and Miami by the millions, by the tens and hundreds of thousands. Yeah, but they've got it pretty good in Puerto Rico as far as how they get over on the rest of us. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It would not be a great surprise if Trump's first campaigning isn't 2 or 3 phone calls. The leaders currently conducting war. Stop now, since I'll be president this time. Well, then, Keith, if he does that, then of course what they're going to do is they're going to claim that he violated the law and acted as, like they tried to get Michael Flynn for coordinating with the Russian ambassador when he was the incoming national security advisor, saying that they illegally undermined U.S. foreign policy. That's what they'll do. So Trump shouldn't talk to any foreign leaders, because the moment he does, they're going to lie about Trump. They're going to come after him, and they're going to try to get him with that nonsense. So, yeah, I think the foreign leaders know that Trump will scare the bejesus out of them, so they'll probably stop on their own accord without Trump actually having anything to do with it. Ladies and gentlemen, this hour, it's been an absolute stunning evening for Donald Trump. A major win, a absolute major win here of epic proportions, a historic win. It's never been done like this in the state of Iowa. 6,000 votes remain. We're now at 95%. Donald Trump with 55,838 of the caucus goers. That is 51.1% of the vote. And he is leading in 98 of 99 counties, still trailing Nikki Haley by a single vote in Johnson County, where the University of Iowa is located. That's the home of the Hawkeyes. Crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. And this is an amazing evening if you're a Trump supporter. Vivek Ramaswamy has announced that he's suspending his presidential campaign. He said, and I quote, "I will stick to the truth tonight, the first hard truth, and this was hard for me. I got to admit this, but we've looked at it every which way. And I think it's true that we do not achieve the surprise we wanted to deliver tonight." And so he endorsed former President Donald Trump after suspending his campaign. He said, "Earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulate him on his victory. And now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency." There you go. Yes, it is, because it has to be approved. There's a process for it. Yep. There's a process for it. And hopefully there will be no more states ever in the history of the United States. 50 is sufficient. We don't need more states. The Democrats are trying to turn D.C. and Puerto Rico into states because they're overwhelmingly welfare locations, and they're overwhelmingly places where Democrats will win. So they want to secure themselves 4 more Senate seats and disrupt the balance of power in our government. 100 senators is fine. We don't need any more states in our union. Yep. I think the media wants a female president. That's why they're supporting Haley. No, they don't want Donald Trump. That's why they're supporting Nikki Haley, because they know that Joe Biden is a dead man walking. He's absolutely a dead man walking. Yep. Yep. So Vivek Ramaswamy suspends his campaign, does the right thing, but no updates on whether Nikki Haley or DeSantis have suspended their campaign. Let me look in and on the CNN and see what they've got to say. Oh, it's commercial break in progress, so I can't do that. Never mind. I was going to check in on them. All righty. So Trump just picked up 1/10 of 1%, and we're up to, it says 95. So 38 of the 40 delegates have now been awarded. Trump is still at 20. He hasn't picked up another one yet. So there you go. Let me see. Yeah, so here are the numbers. Adair County, 50% for Trump. Adams County, 59% for Trump. Alamaki County, 67% for Trump. Appanoose, 72% for Trump. Wow. So here are the entrance polls. Okay, I'm going to show you how Trump did, according to NBC News. All right. So, among males, Donald Trump got 49%. Excuse me. Yeah, among females, Donald Trump got 53%. What? He got more women than men? In the 17 to 29 age group, Trump only got 22%. The 30 to 44 age group, he got 42%. The 45 to 64, he got 54%. And the older the people got, the more they support Donald Trump. And Nikki Haley and Ramaswamy fall off the table there. Okay, so, and that's which age group? Okay, that doesn't help. So that's it. That's the only polls there. Sorry, I thought we had more data on that. So anyway, 95% of the vote in now, and Trump still holding that 51% and still trailing by 1 vote here. That's crazy. That's crazy. So here we go. This is the New York Times site. Yep. So Donald Trump is still ahead at this hour. It's all over. So yeah, that's the situation, folks. I just thought I'd share that with you tonight. This is an historic outcome. It doesn't mean that Trump is the nominee, but a lot of commentators are saying it all but does mean that. I've learned loads about USA Election Day. Well, I'm glad you have, Charles. That's good. So what happens is that the primaries and the caucuses determine the delegates for the national election for the president. Now, in the primaries, like for instance here in Pennsylvania, we have a primary on April 23rd. The candidates who want to appear on the ballot, none of them are on the ballot yet because Pennsylvania has started the process. I think January 23rd, so next week, you can begin to sign the paperwork, pay the fee, and run around and try to get the signatures for the office. You do that, and then you've got like 3 weeks to collect the signatures. They get reviewed and making sure they're legitimate voters are registered for your party. And then if you've reached the requisite number, which is 300, and paid the $100, say like for a local representative for the state, for the Senate, you have to pay, I think, $200, and you have to get, I think, 500 signatures, maybe 600. And then for Congress, I forget the number, and you have to pay a bit more fee. If you reach those requisite numbers, then your name goes on the ballot. And when the election occurs on April 23rd, your name is on the ballot. And there you go. And then you have between February and April 2 months to campaign to win your party's nomination in the primary. And then if you win that primary for state representative or local council or municipal council or state senator or Congress, your name goes on the ballot because you won the primary. And then in November, you're on the ballot again, and you compete against the other political candidates from other parties. And that's how it works. So I hope that helps. Yeah, thank you for the live stream, Chris. You're very welcome for that, Idaho Garden Girl. Hope you found it useful tonight. Yeah, so anyway. What's this? It would not be... Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, got you there. Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of how it works. And it looks like I'm not going to get the final number. Total number of votes so far reported, over 100,000 people have voted in the state of Iowa. 109,063 votes, with Donald Trump securing over half those votes at this hour. And boy, it's a shame. Oh, he dropped a little bit. Oh, that's not him. Sorry. It's a shame that Donald Trump can't get that one vote in Johnson County to defeat Nikki Haley, so he runs the table. It'd be really cool to see that. But 98 of 99 counties. Earlier in the day, it looked like Trump was only going to win about 2/3 of the counties, but then things just turned in his favor, and he just rolled it on. So the options left for the Democrats to prevent Trump becoming president: tell Americans Trump is the Antichrist, default to the WEF's agenda, and merge with Mexican candidate elevating Schwab leader. No, they can monkey around with the events in November. They can fraudulently convict him of crimes he has not committed. They can try all kinds of things, but it doesn't matter. See, here's the thing: there is no prohibition for someone convicted of a crime to serve as a president. There's no prohibition whatsoever. If people want to vote for him, they get to vote for him. So interesting, learn lots about how the USA process works. But you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that our election law is handled by states. In this case, a caucus is handled not by the state, but by a political party. And then they notify to the state. So they'll now tell the state that, well, not the state, they'll tell the Republican convention who gets the delegates. And then there, whoever gets the 1,215 delegates gets a nomination. And then they go on the ballot in all the states where they've won it. So, yeah. But our elections are not handled the way they are in South Africa, the way they're handled in the UK. They're not national elections. We don't have a federal holiday for that day. I argue that we should have a holiday so people don't have an excuse not to vote. Also, we can stop this nonsense of voting being open for 6 weeks and vote on a single day. That's what needs to happen. But the reality here is that the powers that be don't want legitimate choosing events. They want to monkey around with these things, and so they're always messing with the laws. And they say it in the name of, equality and voting rights, but it's not that. It undermines everyone's vote. So anyway, the states run the elections independently, and they run them differently. So, and even within a state, they can be run differently in different jurisdictions. So, for instance, the way they're run here are different than the way they're run in Philadelphia. Yeah, but there are specific laws that have to be adhered to. It's just the process can change. Yep. Anyway, that's it, folks. I hope you found this interesting. And tonight, I need to make a video because it looks like the ANC is trying now to interject themselves into Guantanamo Bay. They just never learn. I want to check on something before we go anywhere here and see if something's happening. I did that video, and it was doing very well, but let me see how it's doing now. So if hopefully it's picked up again this morning. Doesn't look like it has, but it is morning for you guys. Let me see if I'm picking up any more viewers for that. That's not the one I want. Yeah, that's the one. No, it looks like it's died off. So it's only getting about 4 views per hour. So it's died off completely. So YouTube is not recommending it anymore. That was my one on South Africa and the International Court of Justice. I was hoping that would pick up some more. Maybe it'll pick up in an hour or two, but it's already after 7 in South Africa. Hopefully today it'll pick up some more views, but we'll see. Right now it's stuck at 6,609 views. But hey, that's a lot more than I've had in all of December on any videos, I think. So I'll take it. But I'm getting a lot of dislikes now. I had no dislikes. Now I get 25. And I'm sure I got lots of nasty comments on it. So anyway, the leftists like to get their friends come over and just go off on these sort of things. So actually, I mean, of late, those videos, 1, 2, 3, 4 of my last 5 videos have all eclipsed 1,000 views for prepared videos. But I mean, it used to be a lot more views. So anyway, I need to make a video about this ANC thing. I have to decide whether to do it in the morning or do it now. I think I might want to do it now and then post it tonight. That's a video about the ANC now is trying to tell the U.S. to get out of Guantanamo Bay. The ANC needs to shut up and pay attention to its own problems at home and not stick its nose in the business of the United States. Guantanamo Bay is under a permanent lease between Cuba and the United States, and the communists in Cuba don't like that, but Cuba is only an independent nation because of the actions of the United States, which got its independence from the Spanish Empire, and in their gratitude, they signed a lease for us into perpetuity. And yeah, so there you go. Both sides have to agree to discontinue it, and we're not going to discontinue it, so take that. Still have to give likes to many of those videos. All right, well, please do it. Watch them would be nice too. Appreciate watching them, would help out. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's enough for tonight. And thank you all so much. And once again, news out of Iowa, Donald Trump with a historic landslide victory, which crushes his opponents. One final look at the voting totals before we go. Let me bring it over and see if it's updated. And let me see, 95%, 6,000. Nope, still 95%, so we don't need to look at it again. And at this hour, Donald Trump has won 98 of the 99 counties in the state of Iowa in the caucus. That's incredible. Next up, a week from today, New Hampshire. And we're looking forward to that. Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. Good morning to those of you overseas. I do appreciate being here. And we'll catch you either on the video coming up next or tomorrow, which is now today, because it's 12:25 in the morning, for the news on Tuesday, the 16th of January, 2024. Donald Trump, the big winner. Record-setting performance in Iowa on a record cold night in the state of Iowa. Cheers, everybody. Take care.